In this video, the last lemma of the section, namely lemma 3.9.6, is proved. The statement of that lemma is an ideal A generated by this polynomial p of x in fx is maximal if and only if p of x is irreducible. Now, first we will assume that A generated by p of x to be maximal in fx and prove that this p of x is irreducible. Suppose p of x is not irreducible. That means p of x is can be written as f of x into g of x, in which neither f of x is a unit nor g of x is a unit. If it is irreducible means either this or this is a unit. We have assumed that to be not irreducible. So that means neither this nor this is a unit. Now we shall consider n to be the ideal generated by f of x. So of the two, one you can consider either n generated by f of x or n generated by g of x. That doesn't matter. So suppose I consider n to be an ideal generated by this. Then the relation between the ideal generated by p of x and the ideal generated by f of x is this we have taken as a and this we have taken as n. So a must be contained in n. Right. Then n being an ideal in fx, it must be contained in fx. But n is a is maximal. A is maximal. That means a must be equal to n or n must be equal to fx. So because n is maximal, you must have either a to be equal to n or n to be equal to fx. Now first we will consider the case a equals n. Then the ideal generated by f of x, this is n. And then ideal generated by f of x must be equal to ideal generated by p of x. So this in turn implies that f of x can be written as some r of x into p of x. We shall name this as 2. And already here this we shall name as 1 and this one as statement p and this one as statement q and so on. This is equation 2 that we have. Now using 2 in 1, what is 1? P of x is equal to f of x into g of x. So this fx is replaced over there. So that means we get p of x equal to r of x into p of x into g of x. But taking this the whole lot to the other side and writing it as p of x into r 1 minus r of x into g of x equal to 0. Because p of x is non-zero and fx is an integral domain, only this must be equal to 1. So this says that g of x is a unit in fx. But q statement says that it is not so. So this is a contradiction to statement q. Now we will consider the next case when n equals fx. So case 2 is suppose n is equal to fx. So this means n is generated by f of x equal to fx. But we know that 1 is a member of fx. So that means that 1 should be written as the product of this f of x. So s of x into f of x. So this says that f of x is invertible. That is, this is a unit. But we said already in statement p that f of x neither this nor this is a unit. So we get a contradiction to statement p. First we had a contradiction to statement q, now contradiction to p. Therefore our assumption that p of x is not irreducible is wrong. So conclusion is p of x must be irreducible. Now for the converse part, we shall assume that a generated by p of x with p of x as an irreducible polynomial in fx. We claim that a is maximal in fx. Suppose there exists an ideal, say j, generated by some polynomial, because fx being a principal ideal domain, every ideal is generated by, every ideal is a principal ideal, so we can always have like this, some polynomial. So we have, suppose there exists an ideal j which comes between a and fx. When you have a contained in j, if we consider this part, then we have the ideal generated by p of x to be contained in this, which means this p of x can be written as some s of x into g of x. But P of x is irreducible, therefore either S of x is a unit or G of x is a unit. So suppose we consider S of x to be a unit. Unit means invertible. So that means there exists one R of x such that R of x into S of x is equal to 1. We will name this as equation 3 and this as equation 4. What we are going to do now is multiply the third equation by R of x, so that you will have R of x into P of x equal to R of x into S of x into G of x. But R of x into S of x is 1. So this is what you get using first multiply 3 by R of x and then, so you get this and then make use of 4. So this is what you get. So you have the ideal generated by G of x to be contained in this. So as for this part is concerned, in section 3.7 itself you would have come across this. Even in integers. In integers we know that any ideal generated by a prime number is maximal. So that when we proved that, the same concept is used. Whenever, just remember this, whenever 6 is written as 3 into 2, the ideal generated by 6 is contained in the ideal generated by 3. Or you can even have ideal generated by 6 contained in this. One of the two is enough here. So here you have G of x, it's like this, 6 being written as 3 into 2. So the ideal generated by this must be contained in the ideal generated by both R of x and P of x, but what we need is only this. So, but the ideal generated by G of x is taken as J. Ideal generated by G of x is taken as J. So we have our J to be contained in A. Already A contained in J we know, now J contained in A. So both together imply that A equals J. Now case 2, suppose G of x is a unit. Then there exists some T of x such that T of x into G of x is 1. This implies that T of x into G of x belongs to J, because J is an ideal and J is generated by G of x. Such element should be there in J. J is an ideal, because of that you have this. So this implies that 1 belongs to J. When 1 belongs to J, naturally or J must be equal to Fx. So that is again by a problem in chapter 3. You have in a ring R, if U is an ideal and 1 belongs to U, then U must be equal to R. So the same concept is used here. You have your 1 belonging to J, so J must be equal to Fx. In the place of R, you have Fx. In the place of J, in the place of U, you have J. So you have this. So you have A contained in J contained in Fx, implying A equals J from this part, or you have J equals Fx. So you have this in turn implying by the definition of a maximal ideal that A is maximal. So with this lemma, the section gets over. Thank you.